Have you ever thought about how the Brawl Stars meta would shift if the brawlers at the bottom of the meta were at the top? Let's check out some of those scenarios and see how they would affect the game. Let me know down in the comments what brawler you want to see at the top of the meta. I simply could not imagine if they chose to buff Doug. I'm sure he would most quickly become one of the most annoying brawlers in the game. And if they did ever buff Doug, these are some of the brawlers that you would probably see rise in the meta as well. Frank, just because he's going to be able to combat him with his own high health and he's got a stun. Colette, naturally, she's good against the tanks. She's going to be able to take down Doug a lot faster. Lou would be good because he's going to be able to stun Doug. And similar for Gale, he's going to be able to push Doug away and get him stunned occasionally. This meta scares me even more though because it's currently what we live in. Hank is actually the best brawler in the game. No, I'm just joking. He is pretty solid, but he's nowhere near the best. But if he was the best, he would be very scary. This particular buff looks at if Hank could heal while charging his bubble, and he would be the only character in the game that could basically attack while also healing. And we would see a lot of healing tank combos rise from this. So Barry and Poco would be very common. And we'd also see more wall breakers to try to combat that free bubble charge, like Griff and Stu. Now, this one's pretty interesting because these three brawlers are all getting hypercharges. That's right, Bo, Mr. P, and Mandy should be three of the next hypercharges coming to the game. And while we don't know how strong they're going to be and if it's going to push these brawlers to the top of the meta, let's assume for this that they'll be some of the strongest hyperchargers available. And if that's the case, we're going to see very aggressive brawlers fly up the meta. Kenji, Mortis, Max, and BB all fall under that category. They would be able to blitz these three brawlers and get in their face and take them down quickly. But if these brawlers are doing a ton of damage, you're also going to see a rise in healers like Poco and Berry. Our two newest brawlers are nowhere near the top of the meta right now. Some people would argue Meeple's A, I've seen him as low as C, but if he was meta, he would be extremely scary. But if Meeple was at the top of the meta, he would be able to dominate a majority of brawlers because he can attack through walls. And on top of that, he gets auto-aim. So naturally, you'd see a very high jump in throwers, or brawlers that can spawn something else. So that way the spawns can go attack Meeple while you hide from a safe distance. And the brawler that would most definitely benefit the most from this is Juju because she can throw and spawn something. But she's already at the top of the meta. I don't think she needs another excuse to get up there even more. But what if Ollie was meta? I argue that this could even be scarier than Meeple. The fact that he's able to stun brawlers is very scary, and his attacks are kind of weak right now, but if they weren't, he would be very dangerous. So if he was meta, you'd definitely see a high rise in the tank healers, because it would really be the only way to survive him. So Poco would probably be a very common pick, and El Primo would be pretty good too because he can knock back Ollie, getting him away from your team.